take the time and I'ma let it breathe. I'm still waiting my moment.
Welcome back to the channel. You already seem to like the last video about the free plugins, so I got you with a part 2, and this time I made sure to include a lot more plugins, both for effects and just sounds. And you already heard the beat, so without too much talking, let's just get into the video. Alright, so once again, melody, 4 layers, like always, keeping it that simple. Now starting off with the piano for the first sound, I'm using Kontakt, and yes, Kontakt is free, like the player itself. The banks usually cost money, but I'm gonna show you this website. So it's called Pianobook, and basically what they have is like a ton of free banks for Decent Sampler as well as Kontakt. So basically people just come in here, they have a live instrument, they record it, they turn it into a Kontakt bank, and they just upload it here for free. So yeah, you have guitars, pianos, whistles, bells, like pretty much everything. And the bank I'm gonna be using is this Gentle Grand piano, which is one of the most downloaded banks on their website. Now I'm using an extremely simple basic chord progression, and we have a 1, 7, 6, 5 chord progression. Basically I just laid down simple triads. So we have a minor chord, a major chord, a major chord, and a minor chord. For the first 3 chords, I took the middle note, the third, and I pitched that an octave. And since this final 5 chord was a little bit too low and too muddy, I played around with the inversion. So basically I took the root note, I pitched that 2 octaves up, and then I took the middle note or the third and I pitched that up an octave. As far as effects go on the piano, we have the TAL Chorus LX, which is a free chorus plugin. I showed that in the previous video. And I have this very basic EQ, basically boosting the high end since this piano is a little bit more lo-fi. And then I'm cutting out this very muddy low mid frequency. Now moving on to the second plugin, and I'm sure nobody knows about this one. It's called Sonatina Orchestra, and it has like a ton of sounds, like a lot of violins, cellos, violas, all that stuff. And it even has flutes, choirs, like all types of sounds. And the best part, they also have different articulations. So we have sustain, staccato, pizzicato, all that stuff. And I lay down this basic pattern. Basically just a simple top line melody, which is just following the middle notes of the chord progression. As far as effects go, on the strings, I have this free reverb, which is TAL Reverb 4. It's from the same company which makes the TAL Chorus, and honestly they have amazing plugins, like even have a lo-fi filter so you can bit crush the whole sample. And then I have Pancake, which is just panning the sound, going from one direction to the other, and yeah, it's a free plugin as well. After that I added some vocals in the background, just to reinforce this whole ambient emotional vibe. So I wanted to find some plugins which are like, vocal phrases similar to Arcade, but are free. And I came across this Abstract Vox plugin, which is free, and it has a ton of presets with just different vocal phrases and all that stuff. And I lay down these 3 notes, again, using notes from the chords. Now the problem with this plugin is the higher you move the notes in the piano roll, the shorter the sound becomes. So what I did was basically I just pitched it down twice, and then I exported it to an audio file, and then I came here and I pitched it back up. So that way I have the original pitch, but I also have the length, which is a little bit longer. Now as far as the effects on the vocals, I have the Cymatics Origin, which is free, basically just cutting out all of the high-end information. Then I have this EQ, which is cutting out some of the harsh frequencies. After that I have this reverb, just to make the vocal a little bit more ambient. Then I have this stock delay plugin, and one thing I want to note here is I have this automation on the vocal, which I'm gonna play once I show you all the effects, but basically it just fades in and fades out. It just creates this nice texture of delay effects, which, you know, bounce around in the ears. Finally, for the other effects, I have the stereo shaper just to make the vocal a little bit more wide. And I have the ciki, which automates and, you know, makes the sound a little bit more muffled. And I'm using this as a switch up for whenever the vocals come in at the verse, the hook. So, you know, we have more space for the artist vocals instead of the main background vocals. And this is what the vocals sound with the effects on. You can just hear the delay fade in and fade out. After that, I wanted to add some ON to the sample, and you know, I don't want to be using flicks every single time. So I went around digging and I actually found this plugin, which is like very interesting. So if you're familiar with Spitfire Audio, the WAPS plugin, basically they have free pianos, free violins, like all types of instrument packs, which are free. Now this plugin is called Sine, and it's basically the same thing. Of course, they have a lot of paid plugins, but they also have free instruments. So if you go digging on their website, they have like a ton of pianos, bass guitars, flutes, Rhodes, like pretty much anything you can think of. But yeah, for this I'm using the free electric bass called Crux, and I'm using this J bass preset. And when it comes to effects, I wanted to add a little bit more compression just to make the bass a little bit more tight. So I'm using this Analog Obsession Wah compressor. Now this is basically a free emulation of the COA 2A, and I might even say that this is actually better than the COA. Then to make the bass a little bit more distorted, I added this really fast distortion, and I'm adding the EQ just to cut out the distorted harsh frequencies, only leaving the low end. Now let's move on to the drums. If you don't have good drum kits, I have 3 of my free drum kits down in the description. So hey, free video, I'm giving away everything for free. But yeah, starting off with this hi-hat from my drum kit. It's pretty much a 2-step hi-hat, and I have a row like starting on every bar like this. And for the first part, just to make it a little bit more bouncy, I took out these 2 notes here. Right after that, standard stuff, a basic snare with some counter snares here and here. Then I have this open hat, which just adds a little bit more bounce. And finally, this extremely spaced out and simple kick. And the whole idea here is, since it's a high BPM beat, like it's emotional, like there's gonna be a lot of rapping, a lot of singing going on. You just want to leave some space for the artist. And now once you add everything together, along with the vocal, this is how the final song sounds like.
Had to take the time and I'ma let it breathe. I'm still waiting on my moment. Keep a damn about my opponent. Got some M's in teleported. I secure my leads, flying out across the border. Watch me spread my wings, thankful for my mother, and for pops planting the seed. Half the time I was start from envy is in greed. Every time I rock a show, my family